descending from heaven to earth and what it means. Sunlight descends to earth all day, and the teachers descend in elementary school. The rain descends to earth. This sensation seems mostly like a physical reality, but it is truly a dimensional conception. So when the math teacher comes to class and says, "Let me break it down for you," it is his offer to descend from his cosmic state and meet you. Just like when your friend calls to say he or she will come and meet you where you are. But for that math teacher to break it down from heaven so that he will take it down to earth, he will first have to possess it in heaven. You cannot bring a spiritual structure from heaven to earth unless it was already prepared up there. And here is another important law of quantum physics. You cannot bring this thing from heaven if even a minute part of it to the earth without raising the ego earth soul to a degree above the earth. Once you descend and once he conceives, he can no longer dwell in his state at home. He has to ascend to a new home on and on until he reaches that high cosmic plane where you first lived at before you descended to raise him. The sun hits the earth and the seed will no longer stay beneath its side. The sunlight descends. The sunlight hits the earth and the seed will no longer stay beneath its side. It is raised to a higher light, always heading to the highest at the zenith of the sun. And when the initiate is given advice by the master, he is raised to a degree, no longer at that home. Soon he becomes a master. So too do we raise paradigms by shining the light upon the earth. We rise to higher light, always preparing higher structural states of soul edifices. We prepare these states because we are light workers. Usain Bolt runs and finds joy in it. This is why he does. We create spiritual structures, but many of us do this for higher virtues. Most of the divine wizards do it for ego and their ego alone. This is why you become trapped and others will come to advise you because there is a law of balance. We also have our say and we have our right to be afforded and indulged. A child was beaten half to death by another and left out cold. 3 other boys, angels of goodness, were passing by and they took up his burden because it was upon them to help the challenged individual do better. They had their say. The abuser had his and he left the boy on the ground. Those in heaven, if they see you beaten and left upon the ground, will come and help to raise you because they are angels of goodness. Those that batter and left you on the ground would have had their own say. The universe always offers balance. If I am the balance, why would they resist me venomously? The boy that did the evil and walked away is better than your tormentors. The boy that did the evil and walked away is better than your tormentors. He walked away and left the good doers to have their own say in the circumstances surrounding victimization. Your tormentors want to prevent the balance, and this, even as not being wise, is their idea of continued success. The name Jesus is a meaning for light or sun. Did you not say that he descended from heaven to this earth? But your tormentors said that whoever comes to defend you comes to die, and you believe them. Paul Bogle, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King did not come to die. Bob Marley did not come to be poisoned by the CIA. Will you make a cross for him too? Will you sing songs about the precious blood of Paul Bogle? Will you sing a song about coming to Bob Marley's precious suffering with a cross? None of them came to die. None of them came to die, but they came to bring better life to you. And only if you would rise. If they speak and you hear, then there is the balance. Whatever way you choose, even if you choose these tormentors, there is the balance. The problem is where the balance is resisted by those so dark that they misjudge and underestimate the laws of the universe. And in your concept of Jesus' descension, or because of his descension, you expected to rise. In that observation, you are perfectly correct, but only in principle. Why do I say this? I say this because, for example, I told you years ago that an atheist and a Christian have the same beliefs. This to me is extremely obvious. How easy is it for you to see or agree? Huh? How easy is this for you to see and to agree? So, by principle, you might assent because you hear a word, but in truth, you will not assent just because you heard the word. It is only where you will conceive it, and never will you conceive the word if you do not purify your heart. Your heart cannot be purified on a concept that says blood sacrifice is a beautiful thing and that you need the blood of Jesus to wash you and everyone else. There is no possible way to purify your heart, to wash it as white as snow with red blood. Your aura will never be cleansed this way. This nullifies the claim that you should not teach all truth, for the wrong person will receive it. If it is not like giving a psycho a firearm, then it is not even relevant. No one can ever ascend to the home that does not know him. It matters not how many cult he joins or what favors he receives on this earth. No, we say that we are not of this world. I am not of this world. Your prime minister and president are of this world, but the masters that own them are not. The members of their cults are nearly all of this world, but the shepherd that herds them is not. So, only a few reside at the zenith of the sun, one party to the dark side and the other in the light. For even in the sun there is day and night, darkness and light. The common denominator is balance and free will. You are only tormented because you give up your free will. If God created you, He created you to be you. It would be counterproductive for him to create you with autonomy and free will for you to give them back to him. It would be a slap in his face. He would not succeed because of you, and that would be your gratitude. You bow and beg some God to take your soul, and then you expect to not be tormented or to have a say. You swear to not trust your understanding, but you expect those that understand for you to love you enough to serve you well with their own understanding that they possess for themselves. A planet is simply that physical airplane that soars in orbit. just like the Earth planet. It is simply that physical airplane that soars through the heavens in the orbit. It is the landmass. This Earth is a planet, an airplane. To turn it into a world, you must first give it spiritual body by breathing the breath of life into it. The breath of life is breathed into inanimate objects by way of word when you are speaking to minds of reckoning. In this way, you will make it into a world, the earth world, a living existing plane. The spirit of the earth is that soul edifice or order you will bring to it by way of word. Let there be order. Let there be a spirit force in a paper called money and principles surrounding it that serves the reality of that order. Let these common words be their conventional reality of norm. Let the paradigm rest on this square of four word pinnacles, so that by definitions and vocabularies we offer them to cultivate their mindsets will blind them from thinking behind these barriers. Let the paradigm rest on this square of four word pinnacles, so that by definitions and vocabularies we offer them to cultivate their mindsets. We will blind them from thinking behind certain barriers. This is how we shepherd, keep, and access their energies and free will. For example, I love to go back to you trying to understand why Christians and atheists believe the same thing. Can you conceive it yet? If not, it is because of this same spiritual prison, sorcery, mind trap, a mason square, a box that you cannot come out of, and you cannot think beyond these borders. A spellion, that cave with all those channels, the spellion, a spell. You go through one chamber trying to find your way out, you come back to square one through another chamber. Oh, that spellion, the trap, the square you are in. You finding your way out, leading you back in. You are trapped in the square of the earth world spirit, paradigm, or order. The planet was here, but it was not a world before the living, thinking beings made a soul edifice, a systemic structure, a God force made into a rock that is higher than the people, by which they can create norms and new norms ad infinitum. This is all right. We all have to make worlds and paradigms, but do we have to make them into hell planes? And those in the heavens that see from the cosmic will also defend to save and to set the captives free. We, like them, are not of this world. We, like your carpenters, are not of this world. We also respect their autonomy, though. We are at peace with free will. We also understand that to interfere with free will is the imbalance. If they claim to own your banks, they are claiming to own your soul. If they call you a subject, they call you their slave. But because you are in a shepherded paradigm, you cannot see this. If you understood the mediocrity that they ascribe to you in the very things they say before your face, you would strike them down for every word they say to you. But you have nothing. and you cannot define it. You are dependent for definitions, so they define your happiness and tell you how to do it by pretense. A man takes a woman out on a date and has no fortitude to speak his budget, which is the truth, but he must pretend that he has limited funds, which he must pretend that he has unlimited funds, which is the lie, to impress her by. Their happiness founded always in pretenses. They have nothing but pretend that they are happy. The sadness cannot be contained, and we see these beings being cast down and left for dead. There has to be the balance. There has to be the balance. A child is born, and you have to certify him by a document that speaks about delivery at birth. Are we talking about ships and villa ladens? What kind of contract is this, and why claims to own your children? What kind of contract is this? Why claims and who claims to own your children? We are not of this world. We are free. We will not subscribe to these blasphemies, neither do we agree with interferences. We all deserve to do and prosper and to be regarded as equals. We come to catalyze your minds, but not to decide for you. We are not inside of any square. We are not of this world. We transcend all soul edifices. Your tormentors want to be your gods to possess and steal your energy. We neither want to stop it or allow it. All we want to do is to have a say, just to just so you will know and decide for yourself. You will decide now before it gets worse, because it will. The reason it will is because scammers only get greedier. They say, if I make a million, I will be fine and I will live a decent life after that. Then they make the million and they say, just another half a million and I am good. Then they make another half, but the greed continues to grow. This is happening to this world paradigm, and every time they change the norm or the world order, it is to that effect, getting worse, getting worse. The masters are dark beings, meaning they are not as powerful as you. Those that get the fix, the addicts, the energy, it gets worse. You give him he takes a one sniff today, tomorrow he takes more, then he takes more. First, $1,000 could hold him for the day, then he needs two, then he needs three, then he needs more fixes, more fixes, more fixes, and this is happening to you. Your tormentors are addicts. The masters are dark beings, meaning they are not as powerful as you. All I tell you is happening to this world paradigm, and every time they change the norm of the world order, it is to that effect. The masters are dark beings, and I mean they are not as powerful as you. How then did the mighty fall to servitude? How are the mighty fallen? How are the mighty fallen? You have powerful beings suppressed in their ignorance by powerless beings that they themselves gave power to. Powerless beings who to this day are in a surreal mood looking at gods that serve them. Demigods add at the concept that gods serve them. Let me tell you a story. A man claimed he was a wizard in a village, so he set up an apparatus and an altar and called the people to it. He called the people to this apparatus. It was an overcast evening and a thunderstorm was brewing in the distance, but no one noticed. The wizard said that this thing represented God, and if they did not bow to it, good fortune would never find them. Before the first person bowed, lightning struck with a powerful force that turned the dark night to day in the instant. Fire blazed from the wooden structure and the altar. The people ran away in fright. The wizard ran even faster. The next day, no one found the wizard at his home, so they soon decided to visit the failed God structure that he created. And they did, but only to find the wizard on his knees before it, begging God for mercy. He was the one that fell for the trick, forgetting how he conceived it in a lie, and now he felt like this thing was God, and he had to beg there for mercy. For mercy. He descended from his heaven to the earth, and they elevated to higher wisdom, even above him. In a future time, this will be the situation between you and your tormentors. A man puts a fiery object to a piece of steel that he holds in his palm, but at the far end, he holds a piece of steel in his palm, and the fire is at the far end. He keeps it to use the end and torment his victims, burning them with fire, pushing that fire up against them, and holding the far end. As a matter of fact, he now straps it to his hand so that he will never lose his power, because every time they gain more power, they get a capstan. They have such a hard erection, as hard as the steel, every time they get more power. But the heat travels through the material, that is the steel, which is a conductor. The heat travels from the tip. Do you remember that your blood was our blood? Hmm? The heat travels from the tip, but you strapped it onto your arm, and now the power has turned. You cannot concentrate anymore on tormenting. For now, you have to figure out how to remove this torment before your hands burn. Do you remember that your blood was our blood? Do you remember that your blood was our blood? And your mother our mother? We came from the Father to whom you never ascended, but we came for you. Treasonous Judases are now learning to remember where they should belong. Peace out.